Welcome back everyone to the ultimate guide to Blender 3D rigging and animation, and this is where we left it off. Now on this one what we want to do is we want to work with multiple bones all moving at different angles and around at the same time, just to really pick up that complexity of building actual rigs. Alright, so what we're going to do first of all is we're going to make sure that your actual cursor is in the center. So you're going to grab your actual globe, you're going to press L on this one, do it in edge select just to make sure if there's any seams or anything like that, you're grabbing the whole of the actual sphere. And then what you're going to do is just going to press Shift S, cursor to selected. Alright, I'm going to press Tab, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in my first bone. So I'm going to press Shift A, armature. I'm going to actually put this bone on names and I'm going to put it in front like so. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to press Shift A again, but I need to make sure I'm actually in edit mode. So edit mode, Shift A, and then all I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring this one down. So you can see that I can't bring it down at the moment because it's actually grabbing the whole thing. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab it like that through there, and then I'm going to bring it down to here and then rotate it around. So R, Y, 90, R, Z, 90, something like that. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger, and as we've discussed many times now, this is actually going to be my actual root bone. Alright, so now we'll actually bring in another one. So I'm going to press Shift A, and then I'm going to press RY 90, and then Shift A, and then RY minus 90, and then finally Shift A, and then RX 90. And we should end up with bones like this, plus a 4 bones like this, plus a root bone like so. Alright, so now let's go and actually name these things. So first of all, I'm going to press Tab. I'm going to grab my actual armature. I'm going to press F2, and I'm going to call this globe rig. Enter, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag my globe rig into multiple bones one, like so. Open that up, and there we go, it's all in there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to press Tab. I'm going to come to the bottom one, press F2. I'm going to call this root bone, like so. Now we'll come to the middle one here, and what we'll do is press F2, and we'll call this sphere. And then I'll come to this one here, and I'll call this one the inner ring. So we have 3 rings here, so we'll call this inner ring. And don't forget to put I need to put bone on here actually, so I'm just going to press F2. Always put bone on the end. Now with this one, I'll call it inner, so we'll call it inner bone, like so. This one we'll call middle bone, so middle bone. And of course you can call these whatever you want to call them. And then the top one we'll just call it outer, so F2 outer bone, like so. Alright, so now what we want to do is we just want to make sure first of all that all of these will be connected to the root bone. So I'm just going to grab each one of these, grab this last, press Ctrl P, and then keep offset. And now when I move this, we should have all of those actually coming from there. Because they're all in the center, by the way, you'll only see one line, so don't worry actually about that. If the lines, by the way, are annoying you, I think there's actually, where is it? I think it might be on here. Here we go. So we can see that we've got bones we can turn off. We've also got origins we can turn off. And we've got relationships lines, so you can actually turn those lines off if you don't want them on there. All right, so moving on. Now what we need to do is we need to obviously weight this. Now we're only going to weight this with no weights like we've done before, not with weight painting or anything like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this. I'm going to grab my bones. I'm going to press Ctrl P, and I'm going to give it with empty groups again. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my actual mesh. I'm going to look first of all to make sure that there's the armature on. Now you can see on this one, so this is actually a good thing that I'm going to show you here, that we've actually got an armature on already. And this is because I brought this in from another scene. So when you go and check this, just make sure that you can see here that this is red, which means it's not actually working. So you can just actually come on and cross that off. Now the other problem you're going to have is that you can see here that I've got a lot of extra bones here. Now I can see that if I come all the way up to here, so you can see sphere, middle bone, inner bone, outer bone, root bone, that from the root bone here, so if I pull this down a little bit, so can I pull this down? Should be able to pull this down. There we go. These are all my bones. So you can see I've got my sphere all the way up to root. I need to basically get rid of all these. So I'm going to come to this one. I'm going to click the minus off, minus off, minus off, and the minus off. And there we go. Now, I'm not sure if in the course you will actually have this issue where you've still got the actual armature attached. I hope I take them off. I might leave this one on just so you're aware of that, so you can actually make sure, you know, you might have already put an armature on it. It might come in with an armature already on it, which you don't want, or something like that. This is how you clear them all off. So now, when I press spacebar, nothing should actually move with this because there's no armature, there's no bones attached. All right, so now let's actually come in. And what we're going to do first is we'll click on our globe, and we'll come down to our root bone, which is this one here. We're going to press tab. We're going to grab everything. And then again, we're going to remove 100% of the weight. Now what we'll do is we'll come to our outer bone. So this one here. So this is this here. I'm going to grab it. I'm going to click assign 100% of the weight. The inner bone is going to be this one here. L, assign 100% of the weight. The middle bone is going to be this one here. L, assign 100% of the weight. And finally the sphere bone, which is this one here, click assign. Now we should have, if we come up now to weight paint, we should have now the sphere, the middle, the inner, the outer, and finally the root bone with nothing. So just have a quick check on that and it should look like that. And now finally we can go back to edit mode, which is what we're on. Now what we should be able to do now is grab any of these bones. So if I grab my armature, go into pose mode, grab this one for instance and say let's rotate it like so. You can see the outer one now is actually moving around like so, and that is exactly what we want. You can see we have got a bit of a stretch in there, and the reason for that is that when I turn this, so as you can see, if I go to my front view now, so 1, and I press R and Y and spin this, can you see how it's actually going out of line? Now that's really not something we want. And the reason for that is because this actual cursor is really not in the right place for this one. So let's actually fix that first. So we're going to go back to edit mode. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to press tab, come back to my globe. I'm going to grab all of this going around here. I'm going to press Shift S, cursor to selected, and you'll see how it moves very, very slightly. And that is exactly what our issue is. Now, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to come back now to my bones. I'm going to grab this bone. And when I move this to start with, so if I press Shift S, selection to cursor to keep offset, it's going to put it in the middle. And that's really not what we want. So just put it like that. And then what you can do is you can come down to the bottom, Shift S again, and selection to cursor, keep offset. Now you'll see it goes in the middle, albeit it gets a bit smaller. And all you can do then is if you grab it, you can actually pull it out like so. Now when we actually come into pose mode, we should now, if I press R and Y, we should be able to move that perfectly. All right, so now let's check to see if we've got the same problem with the other one. So I'm going to grab this one. I'm going to press R and Y, and you can see exactly the same issue with this one. And let's try this one as well. So R and Y. And exactly the same issue with this one. So let's actually get those fixed. So I'm showing you so you actually understand if something's going wrong, how you can actually fix it, or good ways to actually fix these things. Okay, so let's go back into edit mode. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come now to my globe. I'm going to grab this one first. So the middle one, Shift S, cursor to selected. And I'm hoping that that actually moved. I think it's moved. So cursor to selected, like so. And let's grab my inner, which is this one here. So I'm going to press tab, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to press Shift S and selection to cursor like so. I'm going to grab this bottom bit here, Shift S, selection to cursor, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the whole thing and pull it out a little bit like so. And then I'm going to do the same thing with this one. So I'm going to grab this one here, so L, Shift S, cursor to selected, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to press tab, grab this one, Shift S, selection to cursor, and then I'm going to grab the back of it here, Shift S, selection to cursor, grab it all, S, pull it out. All right, so the moment of truth, let's see if these all work now. So I'm going to go to pose mode. I'm going to check this one first. I think I know that this one works. So yep, that one's working fine. And then R and Y, working fine now. And then we can say R and Y, working fine. And finally then the actual globe, which is this front one. So we can press R and Y. We can see that one is also a little bit out. So what I'm going to do on that one is I'm going to do the same thing, pretty much what I did. You can see it's a tiny, tiny bit out. So I'm going to come to object mode, sorry, edit mode, come back, grab my actual globe like so. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to press, actually, I'm not going to do that because I think that this should be more in the middle with these. So I'm actually not going to do that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this one like so. And then I'm going to press 1. I'm going to press Shift S and selection to cursor like so. Now I think that's actually going to work. I'm going to grab the back of it, Shift S, selection to cursor, keep offset, and then make it bigger, S, like so, and hoping that actually fixes it. So let's come now to pose mode, grab this one, R and Y, and there we go. Now it's moving perfectly. Let's see if it's actually moving the other way as well. So R and X, and there we go now. Yeah, I'm very, very happy with that. All right, so now that's fully set up. I'm going to actually come up to the top, save out my work, and then what we'll do on the next one is we'll actually get this rotating around. All right, everyone, so I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.